Absolutely beautiful. I am proud to be European and live on the most peaceful continent.
Europe is the most peaceful continent.
However, in this video, China will be our main protagonist. Yeah, come here buddy. You have a lot of explanation to do. Now, there's absolutely no rankings nor in-depth information for this specific topic on the internet. Hold on, Dark Souls 3 main theme. Shit's about to get real. Fasten your seatbelt folks, because this is a world first. Also, due to unreliable data, only wars from 500 BC and onwards were taken into consideration. So no, Cain killing Abel and wiping out 25% of the population doesn't make the list. And now, without further ado, well, we are in for a good one, as World War I barely makes the cut. With an estimated 17 million people killed and a world population at the time of around 1.75 billion, World War I wiped out 0.97% of the population. Now, you all know the drill. World War I happens because an Austrian was shot, and World War II happens because an Austrian wasn't shot. So, this guy and his wife went for a nice drive. Assassins wait for him. Assassins suck at their job. Ferdinand escapes. Ferdinand returns. Driver makes an oopsie. Driver stops directly next to the assassin to change the route. Yup, driver stops directly next to the assassin. Assassin pulls out his $2,000 AWP Dragon lore, and the Archduke and his wife are dead. Now Austria-Hungary and Serbia are at war. Germany shows up. Germany almost takes over Europe, but the Allies win the war. The good thing is that Germany learned its lesson and never tried to take over Europe ever again. For about 20 years. Now, if these guys scare you, well, they shouldn't because they were peasants. In the year 184, millions of peasants rose up against the Han dynasty. The imperial government was completely unprepared. They relied on independent warlords from around the region to stop the rebellion, and they did just that. End of the story. But hold on a second. I sure hope that these independent warlords don't realize that the imperial government is actually kind of weak, and they don't try to take power for themselves, resulting in a century-long battle with tens of millions of casualties, right? Yup, that's a spoiler. Up next though, at number 8. The 30 Years' War lasted 30 years. Alright, number 7. Yup, World War II only makes it to number 7, despite being the war with the most casualties. With around 75 million people killed and a population of 2.3 billion, World War II wiped out 3.26% of the world population. Again, you guys know the drill on this. Hitler couldn't be known in art class, so he decided to be known in history class. However, I have a better idea. He could have been known way better in rap class. Now you might say, hold on, known in rap class. You have no idea what you are talking about. And I will say to you that you don't know history because here's the proof for it.
I am Adolf Hitler, command of the Third Reich. Little known fact, also dope on the mic.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. After this amazing performance, I don't care about this stupid top 10 anymore. Thank you for watching.
We're shutting this thing down right now. Turn these lights off. Everybody go home.
Listen,
out of here.
You go home. How about you? How about you go home? How about you go home?
Apparently they won't let me leave. So, at number 6. Now, this is the most inaccurate one because the death toll varies wildly. Look at this, 20 to 30 up to 100 million deaths. Wikipedia says between 20 and 30. 20 and 70. 20 and 50. 20 and 95. You get the idea. So I said fuck it, I'll just put 40 million, somewhere in the middle of all this mess. And if you do not agree, then fuck you. Go on and make your own top 10. So, with a death toll of around 40 million, the Taiping Rebellion wiped out 3.33% of the world population. The good thing is that this doesn't mess up the top 10, just number 6 and 7. At 20 million deaths, it ranks below World War II. And for it to reach number 5, the death toll needs to be 54.5 million. The bad thing is that I'll again tell you classified information. This guy is Jesus Christ, you all know him, pretty cool guy. This guy, on the other hand, is the brother of Jesus. Or so he says. His name is Hong. All his life he tried to pass an exam for a government job, but failed every time. Then he had a dream in which he was the son of God, then failed the exam again and said, "Fuck it, if they won't let me into the government by normal means, then I will become the government." Pretty reasonable idea if you ask me. He then met some guys on a mountain and told them, "The current dynasty are a bunch of demons that need to be destroyed, and I, the son of God, with your help, shall see to it." Now, one thing Hong had going for him was that Christianity was on the rise in China at that time. It also might have helped that there was a lot of opium going around on the streets, making people delusional, but what do I know? Knowing this, they were like, "You got us at demons." Fast forward a bit, and his followers amounted to millions. Now, with his new army, Hong went on a massive campaign of slaying demons. Using his super shotgun and his grappling hook, he slaughtered every imperial demon that stood in his way, slowly taking over China, becoming the real-life Doom guy, and overthrowing the demonic dynasty. Just kidding, he spent all his time with women while his army fought for him. Fast forward again and the Taiping were under siege. Hong finally did something and declared, "God will provide manna for everybody." Now, manna means bread, but it got mistranslated as an herb, so Hong ate that herb, died, and the Taiping Rebellion was over. I swear, you can't make this stuff up. This would have been the end of the story. However, many years later, John Cena, Mao Zedong, got inspired by this Hong guy and went on with his own revolution. Just your typical Chinese history. This time they changed the M with a Q, 25 million perish. Besides this though, nothing else interesting happened. No meme material, nobody eating an herb and dying, no Bing chilling, no rap commander, no AWP dragon lore. It didn't even last for 30 years. So let's move on. This guy is Tamerlane. Like Genghis Khan, he too wanted to become a genocidal warlord, and by being on this list, he was pretty good at it. Also, his appearance reminds me of someone. This is roughly a map of Asia around the year 1370. So let's speedrun Tamerlane's conquests. The most important territories here are Georgia, you will see why here in a minute, and Transoxania. Here, after a successful rebellion, Tamerlane took control over the region, and now it was time for him to expand. And expand he did. First he went here, then down here, then turned left here. I feel like a GPS right now. Then he returned home, only to come back even stronger and invaded Georgia. After that, he went south and took some more territory. Gotta collect them all. He then went east and killed the main guy there. Then this guy from the Golden Horde gave him trouble, so Tamerlane smacked him. Tamerlane then went further south, then up north to Georgia, which he invaded again, then beat the main guy from the Golden Horde a second time. He then set his eyes on Delhi, which he invaded, plundered, and took some elephants with him. Now, it's worth noting that Tamerlane wasn't the only one doing the conquering while all the others were doing nothing, waiting like an NPC to be invaded. That being said, while Tamerlane was in Delhi, the West now looked like this. The Ottomans got bigger. Seeing this, Tamerlane marched towards the Ottoman Empire. Until his arrival though, Bayezid had nothing to do, so he sieged Constantinople. Tamerlane also had nothing to do when he reached there, so he raided Georgia, then he took some territory from the Ottoman Empire. Seeing this, Bayezid had to show up. Until then, Tamerlane took some more territory down here. By that time, Bayezid showed up and took back the lost territory. Now it was time for the showdown. But how do you start an epic battle that will decide the future of your entire empire? Well, by trash talking, of course. Tamerlane and Bayezid engaged in a series of letters in which they called themselves names and insulted each other, like Tamerlane comparing Bayezid to an ant, Bayezid calling Tamerlane a dog multiple times, and many others. Think of a Twitter argument or a game lobby today. The funniest one I've found is a letter from Bayezid to Tamerlane in which he wrote, "Now, if you do not come here, may your wives be irreversibly divorced from you. But if head out to my country, and I run away from you and do not meet you in battle, then of course, may my wives be irreversibly divorced." These guys were age 64 and 40 at that time. Men never really grow up, I suppose. But now it was time for war. So what did these two do after this heated exchange of letters? Well, Bayezid sieged Constantinople and Tamerlane raided Georgia. I swear, I'm not making this up. But at last, the battle began, battle which Tamerlane won, taking control over modern-day Turkey. After the battle though, his grandson and successor fell ill and died. Tamerlane was devastated by this and so he raided Georgia for one last time. By 1405 he prepared for his biggest campaign yet, the invasion of the Ming dynasty in China. On his way there however, he fell ill and died, age 68, and his empire quickly dissolved afterwards. This was the massive oversimplification of Tamerlane's conquests. This also would have been the end of this segment, however there's one more thing to talk about, Tamerlane's curse. A curse inflicted upon the Soviet Union and Stalin, as on June 20, 1941, a team of Soviet scientists opened Tamerlane's tomb. Inside they found an inscription that read, "Whosoever disturbs my tomb will unleash an invader more terrible than I." Now, can you think of an invader more terrible than this guy? Well, if you guessed correctly then you are right. Just 2 days after the opening of the tomb, Hitler initiated Operation Barbarossa, invading the Soviet Union. Apparently, Stalin took the curse seriously, as in December that same year Tamerlane was reburied, just 1 month before the Soviet victory at Stalingrad. Though that might have been because Hitler didn't pack any winter clothes, not because of the curse. Also, shout out to the people from Georgia for being invaded by Tamerlane a total of 8 times and still staying strong. You guys are the real ones. Hold on a second. I sent something. The Mongols and Genghis Khan, you all know him. What you might not know is that his first blood out of his 40 million was his half-brother. Some legends say that his mother, and get ready for this, was impregnated by a ray of light. You may ask for the source after hearing such a concerning information, and here it is.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Just kidding, here's the source. Also, the guy coming up with this legend really thought that Genghis Khan was some son of God. That's wrong, we all know that's Hong from earlier. But how did Genghis Khan manage to become the main reason for the death of 10% of the population? Well, after he united the Mongols under a single leader, one of his most significant campaigns was against China, and we all know how Chinese history goes. Every half-century, a battle ensues in which millions upon millions die, only for this cycle to repeat with no major changes to the population in the long run. It seems as if they can respawn or something. The second reason is that the Mongols rarely took prisoners, and when they did, they used them as human shields in the upcoming battles. Contrary to all of this though, as you can see from the different sources I got the world population numbers, different organizations report that the world population actually increased from the year 1200 to 1250, and I think we all know why. After all, 1 in 200 men today are related to Genghis Khan. He died in 1227, and unlike Tamerlane, his empire continued to expand for years to come. But then Jin showed up and killed all the Mongols. I know what you think, what the heck is a Lushan Rebellion? Well, it's a rebellion started by a guy named Lushan. The reason why it was so devastating in terms of casualties, it's because it happened in China, and as we established earlier people can respawn there. What happened during this rebellion will shock even the biggest Game of Thrones Red Wedding enthusiast. 2 years after Lushan started the rebellion, he was killed by this guy, Qinshu, his own son. 2 years after his son Ascension, this guy, a close ally to Lushan, killed Qinshu. 2 more years go by and this guy, Si Chaui, killed his own father to be in charge, and 2 more years after that, no more backstabbing nor patricide this time, the Tang dynasty put a stop to the rebellion, killing Si Chaui. You can't make this stuff up. Remember at number 9, at Yellow Turban Rebellion, how I told you that, I sure hope that these independent warlords don't realize that the imperial government is actually kind of weak, and they won't try to take power for themselves. Well, surprise surprise. These are some of the most prominent figures from this war. Can you guess who won and took control of all of China? Also, you know shit's about to go down when so many warlords are about to fight in order to rule over China. Alright now, ready, set, go. Let's see who's the winner. That's right, absolutely fucking no one, because this war lasted for almost a century. Technically, these three guys remained after the initial skirmish, and that's why it's called the Three Kingdoms. At the end, this guy took control of all of China, forming the Jin dynasty, which in typical Chinese fashion lasted for like 5 seconds. Well, that's certainly more than me. This marks the end of the video, folks. Thank you for watching. For sticking to the end, you get to hear the conclusion of this video, that being that.
I'm in this hole with a big up 4500 a little, 4500 a little.